So, hi guys, I'm Fiona, and I'll be speaking a little bit about environmental justice. Hopefully, you guys will be able to learn something along the way. Next, can we? Yeah, okay. So, based on the definition of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. So all of this is kind of a lot, but it boils down to just making sure everyone of all backgrounds are able to receive equal environmental care in the community and to have their voice be heard when there is injustice. Can we go to the next slide? All right, so why are we getting environmental injustice? So our problem is that there is an imbalance of environmental protection across different communities. So going back to the definition of the EPA, communities are getting segregated, not just because of race, color, national origin, but also from like an economical, political side, like income and even city development. With all these factors, environmental justice deals with a lot of the problems that social injustice has, and that's why environmental justice and social justice are so closely related. Can we go to the next slide? Yes, okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the patterns that we see among different communities. And I just want to specify that there are exceptions, so some of this information may not apply to all communities. So back to the slideshow, high-income communities tend to be more sustainable. With their lifestyle, they are able to afford sustainable supply, like organic produce and sustainable fashion. And they are more aware of climate change, all just because of the education systems, and they are able to educate youth, which makes problems known in the community. These communities also tend to have better infrastructure. They tend to have parks, bike paths, green spaces. And because they have that education, they're also able to keep that reduce, reuse, recycle mentality that we've been all learning since elementary school, and have public trash cans, recyclable bins, and compost bins. These communities also are able to afford renewable energy like wind, hydro, solar energy sources. And these reliable power supplies reduces the risk of fuel spills and greenhouse gas emissions. Can we go to the next slide? All right, so low-income minority rural communities are less sustainable. Their lifestyle is also one of the main contributing factors. People need to meet their basic needs, and so they can't think about large-scale environmental issues. And because they are struggling financially, these people tend to purchase more convenient and expensive materials that produce more waste, like packaged foods and fast fashion. They both produce a lot of waste. And we're going to get into it a little bit later in this webinar. For city development, these communities have poor infrastructure. And when you think about it, like if they get exposed to climate change threats, these communities are usually the ones that are most impacted because of inadequate housing and infrastructure. These communities also have poor sanitary. And the worst part is that they live next to factories, industrial sites, oil drills, which all produce hazardous waste and are toxic to the people and even the wildlife. These people also, most of the time, can't afford renewable energy, which increases contamination and also increases hazardous waste. Can we go to the next slide? All right, so this is an example. The Port of Los Angeles around like Long Beach, is a place for many low-income communities of color. And according to Greenpeace, 500,000 people live within a quarter mile of an active drilling site, and 70% of these active oil wells are located within 1,500 feet of homes, schools, hospitals, and other sensitive areas. And, you know, with in these industrial sites so close to where people live, people can, like, it leads to a lot of health complications without people knowing. You know, these industrial sites produce toxic chemicals and they contaminate the air without people knowing. And these problems will get serious in the future if we don't fix it. So we really need to do something about it. Can we go to the next slide? So how can we put environmental justice in place? We have to make sure that equity of treatment, to focus on equity of treatment, fairness within all communities, and we have to focus on poor communities of color because they are the most impacted from environmental injustice. And in order to truly get these communities, to help these communities get resources, we need the government's attention and political leaders who can really step up and fix this environmental crisis. And so voting is the most we can do. I feel like we've been saying this throughout this whole 4-day webinar, but really it's the government and the political leaders' job to really do that, and we really have to support them. We also have to improve technology. You know, if renewable resources can be the main source of energy, this environmental crisis will definitely decrease. And if we use this as a main source, it has to be accessible to everyone, and including the people who are suffering or who are segregated from like color, race, color, origin, and all these segregation issues. The last thing is environment. I have a quote from Nelson Mandela who says, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." It's going to take a lot of people and a lot of time to fix the environment, and we need to keep this movement going, and we can do this by educating the youth. And you know, climate change affects every living being on Earth, so it should be one of our top priorities, if not our top priority. Can we go to the next slide? So yeah, this is about it for the intro to environmental justice. Hopefully you guys learned something along the way, and make sure to check out these links as they really help me understand environmental justice a little bit more. Do you guys have any questions?
I don't really have a question. Oh wait, did somebody else want to ask a question? No? Okay. Well, I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to link Fiona's topic to my topic because she was talking about how segregation is part of the environmental justice problem. Well, and I guess I'll be talking about it anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to preview that. Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to confirm. I don't remember the entire statistic, but I know you said like there were like 500,000 LA people that live next to a drilling site. So does that imply like fracking is really popularized throughout California?
Yeah, like honestly, I think Trisha is talking about this topic, and it's like pretty well known.
Yeah, because I always thought like fracking was more located towards open land like because California is so dense, I felt like there wouldn't be that many fracking sites. But yeah, that's a nice statistic to like keep in mind that even like LA, like everyone knows LA because we're California, but yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I don't know if we want to mention this in the recording, but I just wanted to recognize that Dublin is one of the more affluent neighborhoods. So, oh yeah, and Polly also said this in the beginning. Like, you can tell that we have a lot of greenery and we have good parks here. But in poorer neighborhoods, that's not the case. And it's something that we have to fight for because, especially the problem of voting or the government, is that they favor industry. And if you look at yesterday's webinar, like after we post it, we talk more about that. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like all of this really has to take time. Like, I feel like most likely it won't happen within these few years, like these. So I think we all have to just educate each other more and just, one thing I like about this webinar is that we invite people to really like communicate through like online, and we're just using this whole shelter in place to our advantage on this topic.